We're here to talk primarily about Academy Safe. I'm very, very interested in this, and it seems like a long overdue and missing experience or thing for the jujitsu sector, if you will. Jujitsu as a business, it's such a weird thing because we as business people know that when you go into a business, there's an expectation already in terms of your employees, safety, obviously, things like that, liability.
Sure.
But in jujitsu, there was this huge void. Can you talk about that?
So let's be completely transparent here. There are some martial arts organizations that are doing background checks. The problem that I have with that is that they're only usually doing it on an owner, or if you want to get like register your black belt. I am just actually just going to start the process of getting registered with the IBJJF. You can, from what I understand, right, I can become a member. I can submit my information. I don't believe that I have to do a background check, even as a black belt, unless I want my black belt certificate, right? But that's
Mhm.
just a black belt. They want their black belt certificate. It's like almost $500, and you've got to do some testing and you've got to do some things. But they do a background check. And Safe Sport, U.S. Center for Safe Sport, which that'll come up a lot as we talk about this, which is the organization that was born out of the debacle that happened with the girls' gymnastics team and that doctor, right? So this was born from that, and now U.S. Center for Safe Sport basically keeps an eye, and you can report to, and they provide services to really anyone, but their main priority is sports that lead to the Olympics. So like USA Wrestling, things like that. So USA Wrestling is another one. Coaches, refs, they have to do background check, and Safe Sport. The U.S. Center for Safe Sport certification. It's a course, it's a couple of hours, and you get a little certificate at the end. So we're making not only our members or the academy owners do that, what about the staff members? We're even looking at what we could do for members, like doing checks on registries, which, Henner and Huron out in California do this for Gracie University, I believe, for their Gracie Academy. They actually do a sex offender registry check on students. What I don't think without their knowledge, because it's public information. So let's check this guy out, right? And we do that as well as what we do with the background checks. We're also searching the academy. We're doing AI and Google searches to see what comes up, if there are complaints, looking at their Google reviews and so on. But
Mhm.
back again, at its core, what's the problem here is that it's always the black belt or the owner, but not the staff members, who could be white to black to white to brown, or not a practitioner at all. The guy that picks up the kids at the school for an aftercare program, the girl that sits at the front desk. I can
Mhm.
tell you stories, and I hope we have the opportunity to tell you. I've heard stories about that even happening. I could tell you about an academy owner who he had to fire his own daughter for having a relationship with a 15-year-old boy. She was an adult in her 20s, a 15-year-old boy. That was spoken about at a Mayakan event, Martial Arts Industry Association. One of the speakers actually got on, and he was like, I had to fire my daughter. This is a problem in our world. Now, would background checks solve everything? No. But what we're trying to do is push out the people that don't belong there. So IBJJF does black belt background checks and Center for Safe Sport certification.
Mhm.
ATA, the Taekwondo Association, for their black belt, or excuse me, I'm not 100% sure on if it's just black belts, or essentially if you're a member or an academy owner, you're part of their affiliation, right? Background check, U.S. Center for Safe Sport certification. So it's a thing already, okay? But
Mhm.
what happens is, again, we're leaving out a major part, or the people who could be the worst offenders. I
Mhm.
believe that martial arts has been a safe haven for people that want to get near kids,
Mhm.
very specifically near kids, but still women. If things happen to men worldwide, I mean, like, you could go into crazy stories that I've heard and I've seen. And Rob Ingram from McDojo Life, a very famous Instagram handle, is, the stories that he tells me, the videos that he gets, from people that want him to report on something, it would blow your mind. It's like disgusting murders, rapes on camera in martial arts facilities, or groups of martial artists with t-shirts, like raping a girl somewhere and it gets caught on camera. I mean, the list goes on and on. What is the problem that we're trying to solve? We need to clean things up. We need to make sure that people don't think that, the martial arts community is a safe haven for them. I don't believe that if you've committed a crime against a child, your wife, domestic violence, I don't believe that we have a place for you here. I think we need to push those out. Again, USA Wrestling, we follow the same exact criteria and are using the same background company through Sports Engine, NBC Universal Sports Engine, that the NBC Universal. They've just spun off Sports Engine, and now it's called Versant, but I think it's still like the same holding company or something like that. But NBC still runs Sports Engine, which is the platform that we use. And they've done this for all sports, like, for a league, you have a soccer league, a baseball league, a darts league, right? You can get anybody involved through the process, make sure they get their background check and safe sport certification. They also do a concussion training, which is great for our industry, for all of martial arts, and make you go through that process. Well, we're using that tool, right? USA Wrestling was doing this prior to Sports Engine coming around and buying. I believe they purchased NCSI, which is the background check company. So it's there's been some consolidation. NBC has kind of been running this area. So all of like the ATAs that I mentioned, USA Wrestling, and potentially maybe even the IBJJF, if they've been using NCSI, they're essentially they are working with NBC Universal. But again, going back, it's great that they're doing that. They're just not doing it for all staff members. And that's where we come in. Now, we do have 8 full line items that we ask somebody to do. So for the coach, we need one owner to go through 8 items: background check, safe sport, concussion training, right? Everyone's doing those. Everyone is doing CPR, first aid,
CPR.
AED certification, right? Everyone is doing that. Then we're all doing a lineage check on everybody. So everybody's doing that, coach or owner, or just a staff member. Then the other 3 items for the owner would be, we were verifying insurance, business insurance. We are checking to make sure you have security cameras on premises and that you have an AED. So those are the 3 extra things that just an owner would have to do. The insurance part, believe it or not, a lot of academy owners let their insurance on. I could tell you, I won't, but I could tell you of a major affiliation who called us that wanted to get all of their affiliations checked out. But the roadblock was that insurance was too expensive in one of the states where they have a bunch of academies, and they felt like they couldn't force them to get insurance. So they have affiliates operating without insurance. As of where we left it off a few months ago, they're literally they're knowingly letting these academies run without insurance. Some of the excuses were it's too expensive, it's gotten out of control, it's only one coach, he doesn't have the money, he's not making enough. That's a bigger problem. You put your name on that door, you allow them to put your name on the window, they better have insurance. And then lastly, I'm a heart attack survivor. I had a heart attack when I was about 43. I've started jiu-jitsu at 41. I'm 52 now. I had a heart attack at 43. Literally, I had a heart attack at night after training. Didn't know, like just having chest pains. Go back to train in the morning. Same thing. My wife makes me go to the hospital, tell me I'm having a heart attack. I wasn't on the floor writhing around it's not always like that. Get me into an ambulance, bring me across town. And actually, the ambulance drivers are the one that told me I was having a heart attack. The doctors and the nurses just tell you're having some type of episode. We need to get you over to the hospital, because they literally don't want to give you a heart attack. They don't want you to fall apart. So those, the AED is near and dear to my heart. The, obviously the background check, but some of these other items that some people may think aren't as important, I think are incredibly important. We interviewed a guy, 10th Planet, Matt Walsh, who owns 10th Planet Pompano Beach down here in Florida. I think partially because he was on the show. He's not a member. He hasn't applied, but they wound up getting an AED, and they were having one of their students who had also been on the show. They call him Pompano Joe, Shane Rivera. Literally the week before they were going to be doing Shane is a police officer and trained to teach CPR, first aid, and AED use. The week before they're going to have it, a student has a heart attack in class, and Shane was there and they knew what to do. But again, you can't say that these aren't things that are needed. Yes, they're one-offs. Yes, they're things that, you're not having a heart attack once a month, somebody having a heart attack once a month, but these are important things. So everything on that list, I don't think there's anybody that can have an argument with me that those 8 items aren't the most important things that every academy owner should do. And, carry that over into any aftercare program, dance class, gymnastics, swimming, having an AED present. Name a sport, name something that kids go to after school, name, CrossFit, kickboxing classes. I love kickboxing style places, right? they all need all of these things. Maybe they don't need a lineage check, but they should be able to prove who they gotten trained from or have some type of certificate. So again, I don't think there's anybody that can argue with me that can really say that there is anything on that list that they shouldn't have. But that affiliation, they left. They stopped talking to us because we were like, you're asking us, they were literally asking us to drop the insurance and AED line items
Requirement.
because they didn't want to have to make them. And I think actually if we add in the security cameras as well, they didn't want their academies to have to pay for any of the extras. And, you know, actually since then we're launching a background check only product. If somebody just wants to come to us for a background check, it's not a membership, but that we'll do the background check for them. A lot of people have come to us and say, hey, we just want to hire somebody and we want to know what's going on with them. Could you do the background check? Absolutely. So we're about to add, the product is created and we're just adding it to the website in the next couple of weeks.
Another product that I really love that you guys have is the individual product, like just the student product. So if your academy just doesn't happen to be aware of this or chooses not to participate for whatever reason, you as a practitioner
Well,
can
we're
subscribe
still
to
coaches.
something.
We don't do just the practitioner. But if you're a coach
Okay.
or you're somebody who helps out, like so we should say just to correct, you could just be a student, but like the student that's an unpaid coach, somebody that goes,
Yeah. I meant
absolutely,
staff member. You're right. Yeah.
we wouldn't stop anybody from going through the process.
Hmm.
But most of the time it's because they're at least some type of coach, paid or unpaid. Absolutely, they can come and do it. And we'll list the academy. The academy will benefit from having that listing, but it will show that this academy is not accredited and the owner has not made any attempt to join. This is a coach, a member, what have you. So we're going to be opening up more programs and packages like you just said. You know, Safe Sport right now, they have multiple programs, including ones that are for parents to take.
Mm.
The main one is good for anybody, a coach or a parent, but there are very specific parent portals that they allow you to do. So I'm hoping, and we've discussed this with them through NBC Universal and Sports Engine, that they'll allow us to add that as a product so people can come through our system, like you just said, and like do everything that we're doing, but take the parent version of the
Hmm.
Safe Sport. I still think, I don't know what the parent version looks like because I haven't taken it, but I certainly believe that, you know, the core tenets of like, you know, looking out for bullying, looking out for grooming is the big
Hmm.
one. Because there's grooming of the kid and then there's grooming of the parent, which is what's happened at my old school. He could never do anything wrong to little Johnny. My whole school, everyone that was there, if they didn't know before I left, they knew after I left of what he was accused of and the things that the owner did there. You know, they're allowing well, it didn't happen to me is a common answer. Or if it happened to me, I take a bat to his head. And I should say the main thing that I can speak about is morally wrong, not illegal, although he's been accused of some illegal things that I don't think that it's fair that I can't prove them. I've just heard the stories. I have
Hmm.
no physical proof other than text messages and WhatsApp messages from other students. He was hitting on the wives, girlfriends, ex-wives of his students. He's
Yeah.
married. His
Yeah.
wife is a black belt, a world champion black belt at the same academy. There are allegations of him hitting on some of the women there as well, because we had a big women's presence because his wife, a world champion, women want to come train with her. Where he really got himself in trouble was sleeping with, well, you know, again, and I'd have to say allegedly again, although I have like, you know, I have the receipts, as the kids say, you know, allegedly slept with and had affairs with ex-wives, hitting on, you know, students, his adult students' wives. Think about that for a second. Like, you're training with your coach, and while
That's
you're heading
crazy.
home, he could potentially be talking to her through Instagram. That was his big thing, through Instagram messaging, and he's hitting on your wife on your way home. That's crazy. That is like boy, talk about somebody who wanted to get caught. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Hubris.
danger involved with doing it that way. You're training us how to take care of ourselves, and we could be, you know, potentially dangerous. We're in Florida where everybody's got a gun, a crazy, and he used his basically like his student list as a Tinder app, you know. But going after the wives of your male students, adult male grown men who are paying you to train their family is absolutely nuts. I'm not sure if you heard about way back in the day, Pablo Popovich, what happened to him here in Florida. He was sleeping with that student happened to be some UFC fighter who was a monster. Like, I think he was a heavyweight. I don't remember his name, but he showed up at the academy with a gun, and Pablo Popovich is gone. I think he moved to Abu Dhabi. He got the hell out of here because his academy fell apart. But it's the same thing. I mean, my ex-coach is doing the same thing. Again, I usually don't mention his name and I usually don't mention the academy. The affiliation that we were part of before, I try to keep their name off of my lips, although that information is public and what they went through is very public. So I don't mind talking about it because you could just simply Google it. But crazy, right? I mean, talk about somebody like playing with fire. You couldn't hit on anyone else, but I think it's that usage of I'm the black belt. People look up to me. I'm in a position of power. And, sometimes I guess he knew, sometimes women are attracted to that, and they were. And he did cheat. And some of those, again, I've got messages I cite one specifically where the mom sent me a message and said, when this was all coming out, she's like, yeah, that was my ex-husband's wife that he was sleeping with. And unfortunately, you know what? Her kids still go to the school. She
Yikes.
does not, wasn't trained, but her kids train. So it's just like, what's going on, but you stay. Are you enabling, to each his own? I stayed after I heard some of the stuff, but when I heard what I perceived as when it started to involve kids in some cases, and again, I can't really say exactly what happened, but there were allegations that he did things while there were kids in the academy, which I understand from our board member who's a Secret Service agent and in law enforcement for decades. That's child endangerment. So that is in itself illegal, but nobody's ever reported it. So I don't
Yeah.
know the names of the people, but I've heard the stories of people walking in on him doing things that he's not supposed to be doing while there are kids around. So again, so is there a need for Academy Safe? Absolutely. Will we fish out every single person who's done something bad or would do something bad in the future? No. Right? If they haven't been convicted, it's not going to come up on their background check. But what we are doing is we're putting people on notice. And one of the most important things, though, the U.S. Center for Safe Sport gets people talking. In my academy has gone through the process down here in Coral Springs, Florida. It's Coral Springs BJJ. Great school, 15 plus black belts on a mat on a Monday night,
Wow.
unheard of. Like, that's just not a
Wow.
thing. All members that train, that help teach, like not everybody teaches, but they let us show a move here or there, which is great and fun. But there's just some really good academies out there doing the right thing. But the U.S. Center for Safe Sport gets us talking. A lot of those guys have either gone through or when we've added some new coaches to the platform and they're going through the process. And sometimes it's a little bit of a joke, but it's like there's seriousness in it. When we see something, we're like, is that academy safe? Maybe an interaction between somebody. It's been adults. It hasn't been kids, but there'll be a little joke like maybe somebody's hugging, two adults hugging a little too long and they're not together,
Mm.
So, hey, is that
Yeah.
academy safe? So there's that little bit of a joke that we do, but it's on everybody's mind. And, for some of the other academies that have big kids programs, I'm glad. They're talking about it. They're going, should we do something about it? Hey, remember from the video, this, that, the other thing. And I think it keeps everybody's on their P's and Q's. I can't be doing something silly or stupid that I might have done because everybody's watching and we've all watched the same video, done the same courses. We all have to look at that sticker on the door when we walk in because we send them an accreditation sticker with the dates of their membership. I think it keeps everybody on their toes and knowing that we have to do the right thing. This is no longer acceptable in the not just the jiu-jitsu world, but in the martial arts world as a whole.